Are you thinking about moving to the Kansas City area? If you're thinking of moving to Kansas City and want to learn all about living in Olathe, Kansas, you've come to the right place. Today I'm going to walk you through the pros and cons of moving to Olathe, Kansas. Olathe, Kansas has a ton of pros, don't get me wrong, but no city's without a few cons, and I'm going to share some of those with you today. And we're going to get started right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything about living in Kansas City or in Olathe, then hit the subscribe button below and tap the bell for notifications so that you can be the first to know about the current market in Olathe or anywhere in Kansas City. Hi, my name is Cheryl McCormick with the Rob Ellerman team at ReeceNichols Real Estate. My team and I get calls and emails every single day from people just like you looking for help on making their move to Kansas City, and I absolutely love it. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. All of the information is in the description below so that we can help you make that smooth move to Olathe or to Kansas City. As I mentioned, I'm going to be giving you the pros and cons of living in Olathe, Kansas, so let's delve right in. If you're not familiar with Olathe, Kansas, it's a suburb of the Kansas City area on the Kansas side, on the southwest side of the city. It has a population of 140,000. First, let's talk about some of the pros of living in Olathe, Kansas. Olathe, Kansas was founded in 1857 before Kansas was even a state, and is one of the oldest communities in Johnson County and in the state of Kansas. It's located on the historic Santa Fe Trail, Oregon Trail, and California Trail. One of the pros of living here is that there are plenty of historical attractions to explore. Some of those are the Insert Farm Site and Museum, which is an 1892 farm that displays antique furniture, utensils, clothing, quilts, and ham radio equipment. The farm also includes an 1890s barn, which was constructed with rough sawed lumber and wood peg beams. It has picnic facilities and other structures. Another historic site is the Lone Elm Park Historic Campsite, which is a spot where the historic Santa Fe Trail, Oregon Trail, and California trails converged. You can camp and hike in the same spot where immigrants and freighters camped, preparing for their journeys west. Olathe, Kansas is also home to the Mahaffey Stagecoach Stop and Farm Historic Site. It's the only original stagecoach stop on the Santa Fe Trail which is open to the public. It has the original Mahaffey timber frame barn, a unique 2-story stone ice house, a working blacksmith shop, special programs, a gift shop, and you can even ride on a real stagecoach. Another pro of living in Olathe, Kansas is its Midwest hospitality. People here are just friendly. They actually wave to each other. Neighbors love to help each other out and watch out for each other. Friendliness is not unique just to Olathe, but you will find this in all of the Kansas City area. It definitely makes Kansas City a nice place to live. If you're from here, we're used to it. But if you're from either of the coasts, that can be a real eye-opener. Another pro to living in Olathe, Kansas is the diversity here. Niche.com ranks Olathe number 7 out of 37 of the most diverse suburbs in Kansas. The 5 largest ethnic groups in Olathe, Kansas are white, non-Hispanic at 75.5%, white Hispanic at 8.51%, Black or African American non-Hispanic at 5.9%, Asian non-Hispanic at 4.14%, and non-Hispanic 2.84%. Another pro to living in Olathe, Kansas is our schools. Niche.com gives the schools in Olathe a grade of A and ranks them number 7 of 108 places with the best public schools in Kansas. Olathe is mostly served by the Olathe School District. In the Olathe School District, the average class size in elementary schools is 17.79 students, middle school 20.41 students, and the high school is 21.72 students. So a really low student to teacher ratio. The Olathe School District has a graduation rate of 94.54%. It has 18 Blue Ribbon School Awards, and it ranks in the top 25 public schools in Kansas according to U.S. News and World Report. It has many advanced placement classes and college-level courses, great for getting a jump on college. But if you prefer private schools, Olathe also has many private school options. Pro number 5 of living in Olathe, Kansas is our parks. We have 13 community parks and 26 neighborhood parks. Typical amenities in the parks include playgrounds, pools, shelter houses, and walking trails. But my favorite park is Lake Olathe, which is a 170-acre lake surrounded by a 258-acre community park. There you can rent canoes, kayaks, paddle boards, pedal boats. There's also a swim beach, a marina. You can play disc golf. There's a splash park for all different ages, and there are many different playgrounds, including inclusive playgrounds. But my very favorite is the Aqua Park, which is kind of a bounce house just off of the swim beach. I love to visit there in the summers with my family. It's one of our favorite destinations in all of Kansas City. And there are still more pros to living in Olathe, Kansas. It has a low crime rate. Violent crime is 10.2% compared to 22.7% for the average U.S. city. Property crime is 24.5% compared to 35.4% for the average U.S. city. So it's definitely a lower crime rate. And there are still more pros. Olathe has affordable housing. The median home price as of December 22, according to Realtor.com, was $385,000, lower than some of its surrounding suburbs of Overland Park and Lenexa, which makes it really attractive. If you are looking to stay around that $300,000 to $400,000 price point, you're going to find a lot more homes available than in the surrounding suburbs, which makes Olathe a great place for young families and first-time home buyers. But don't get me wrong, there are still plenty of higher priced homes in Olathe as well. In general, you will still get more for your money in Olathe than in the surrounding suburbs. And the last pro I want to talk about, and this is a really big one, guys, is restaurants and shopping. If you're like me, I like to have plenty of options close to home, and Olathe definitely offers that. First is the 119th corridor. Here are just a few of the many places that you can shop here. There's Best Buy, Home Depot, Target, Dick's Sporting Goods, Marshall's, Home Goods, Ulta, Old Navy, Whole Foods. There's AMC 30 movie theaters, and so much more. We also have the 135th Street Santa Fe corridor, where you can find Kohl's, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, and At Home, just to name a few. Restaurants. There are tons of fast food restaurant options in Olathe, Kansas. There's lots of local bar and grills, tons of Mexican food, such as Jose Peppers and K Machos, which are two of my and my family's personal favorites. And we cannot forget about KC Barbecue. You will definitely want to try out Joe's KC Barbecue while you are here in Olathe. Now, there is one slight con to restaurants in Olathe. There are really not many fine dining options in Olathe. You will probably have to travel to nearby Overland Park or maybe the Plaza area or downtown Kansas City if you're looking for fine dining. As you can see, there are plenty of pros to living in Olathe, Kansas, but every city has its cons, and we're going to talk about a few of the cons here. So first, let's talk about the weather in Kansas. Now, this is not unique to just Olathe, but all of Kansas City. One of the first things that everyone asks about if they are not from Kansas is about tornadoes. I'm not sure if everyone thinks we get a lot of tornadoes in Kansas because of the Wizard of Oz, but in reality, Olathe only averages about 3 tornadoes per year. Now, that doesn't mean that every part of Olathe or every part of Kansas City is going to see tornadoes, or that every tornado that will touch the ground and do damage. I've lived in Kansas City all of my life and have never actually even seen a tornado, but they can happen, and they do occasionally. And if it does happen, they can cause severe damage, and they have been known to do that. So if you're moving to Olathe, you want to make sure that you have a basement or at least some sort of tornado shelter to protect you just in case. So I would definitely call tornadoes a con for living in Olathe, Kansas. And while we're talking about weather, let's talk about more cons. Summers in Kansas City are hot, muggy, and wet. Summer temperatures average 89 degrees, but we can have several days at or above 100 degrees. And our heat is muggy, so it can feel 10 to 15 degrees hotter than the actual temperature. And not only hot summers, but winters here are cold, and we can get ice and snow. Temperatures here can get at or below zero. The average snowfall is 18 inches a year, but we can get significant amounts occasionally with 6 to 12 inches in a single snow event, or we can go winters without hardly having any snow. But if you live here, you may want to have a snowblower on hand, although you probably are not going to need it every winter. We also occasionally get ice storms, which are usually worse than snowstorms. Those don't happen as often, but when they do, they can paralyze the city. We also get thunderstorms, which at times can be severe. We can get lightning and hail, and the hail can range from 1/4 inch to 1 inch and can damage cars and especially roofs. And Kansas can get wind, especially in the spring. Usually anytime it warms up in the spring, we have to pay the price with 20 to 40 mile per hour winds. You just get used to it. But there's one saying about the Midwest weather. If you don't like the weather here, wait an hour and it will change. I've seen a temperature swing from 35 degrees below zero to 50 degrees the next, all within the span of 24 hours. Another con that's related to the weather is allergies. Allergies can be a big problem for many in Olathe. We get tree pollens in the spring, February through May, grass pollens in the warm months, usually the worst in May and June, and weed pollens in mid-August until the first freeze happens in late October or early November, which can really make you miserable if you suffer from that. Another con about living in Olathe, Kansas is that it generally has higher taxes. The average sales tax rate in Olathe is 9.475% compared to 7.3% for the average American city. Olathe also has an average income tax rate of 5.7% compared to the national average of 4.6%. Property taxes are on the higher side as well, with a mill levy of 12.7 mills compared to U.S. average of 11.4 mills. But you can see that you get a lot for your tax dollars here with its excellent schools, excellent community services, and all of our parks and amenities. And it is a beautiful place to live. The final con I want to talk to you about here is transportation and traffic. There is a public bus transit service, Ride KC, which services Olathe, but stops and routes are not all that convenient. I would definitely plan on owning a car to get around Olathe and really all of Kansas City. You can call Uber to get a ride to the airport or to get around Olathe, but again, availability can be limited. Access to highways can be challenging from Olathe, Kansas, depending on where you live. The main highway in and out of Olathe is I-35, but depending on where you live in Olathe, getting to the highway can take you 10 to 15 minutes. And I-35 is an extremely busy highway. You may want to time your commute around less busy times of day. Even though highway access can be a little inconvenient, commuting from Olathe is actually really good compared to those of you who come from larger cities. We like to complain about it, but it's really not bad. The average commute time from Olathe to downtown Kansas City is 26 minutes. And finally, traffic can get really busy, especially on the weekends around the 119th corridor, where a lot of the shopping and restaurants are located. It's definitely nice to have all of those conveniences close by, but just expect to encounter some traffic on the weekends. But again, everything's relative. What seems like bad traffic to us here in Kansas City may add an additional 5 minutes to our trip, which really is probably not that bad compared to many other cities. There's never a perfect city to choose to live, but overall, Olathe is pretty great. There are definitely some cons to consider, but I think the pros far outweigh the cons. And if you want to learn more about Olathe, check out my Olathe vlog tour and my Olathe map tour videos. And remember, whether you're planning on moving in 9 days or 90 days, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email. All of that's in the description below so that I can help you make a smooth move to Kansas City. So until next time, I hope to show you around town.